Well, as expected, Xavier is well on his way to a win in this game. It's been this way almost the whole entire game. If you've listened to this channel, if you've watched this channel, you would have known since week 3 that Xavier positioned himself the best in the fucking house. And here he is at the end, still positioned the best in the house. I think I finally understood why this fan base and the podcast are just so bad at talking about the game. It's because nobody understands dynamics. And that is why I made that video I did yesterday to try and give everybody's point of view, to try and make people understand the actual dynamics in the house. I host a lot of games, so I understand dynamics well. When you're watching it take place, you understand why a certain player would do this, why a certain player would do that, because of that dynamics of an alliance, the dynamics of a duo, the dynamics of deals. There's dynamics play a huge part in these social games. So the results of the fucking double is no surprise to me. I have been saying for the past 2 weeks how Tiffany and Hannah have found themselves on the out of this alliance from everybody else because Tiffany, the guys weren't trusting Tiffany because she won that HOH and she was trying to keep Claire. And after that, they saw that Hannah was the one most closely associated with Tiffany. So that's why I've been saying for over a week now, I think, that if Hannah doesn't win the double HOH, well, then nothing's going to change in the dynamics because she's the only one that would go against the men and Azah because, like I talked about in the video yesterday about the point of views, from Azah's point of view, as bad as it is for her end game, Xavier and Derek F have always been the two people that worked closely with her in this game, and Derek F especially. So like her veto, well, her HOH win, which by the way, nobody expected Azah to win an HOH, but they were wrong as always. But her putting up Hannah and Xavier was no surprise to me because she made that deal with Kylan. Kylan honored it. Azah's been keeping this honest gameplay, and she made an early final 2 deal with Derek F. So of course she's going to not want to put up Derek F. So Twitter having a meltdown like always when the writing was on the wall is just weird because they clearly don't pay attention to the show, or they would have known that anybody winning HOH other than Hannah was going to be the target and Hannah needed to win the power veto. So I don't get the theatrics. And Hannah never made a deal with Azah. It was always Azah had an early deals with Xavier and Derek F, and then Kylan made a deal with her this past week. So the last one left was Hannah, and she never made a deal with Azah. And I do think Azah plays a part in that because she was never close to Hannah. But I mean, it's not like Hannah tried that hard these past couple of weeks either. So, but yeah, anybody calling Azah one of the worst plays ever, once again, she made it to the Final Four without being on the block. One of the best social games this show has ever seen. I will say that 100%, from a woman anyway. The men could get away with good social games and everybody praises them. Oh my God, what a great game by the man playing a good social game. But this misogynist fucking fan base that wants to complain about misogyny, a woman does it and you guys can't give her the same respect. So shut the fuck up with your little fake wokeness that goes on Twitter all the time. And even if Azah put up Kylan and Xavier, Kylan won the veto, so Azah was never going to put up Derek F. As bad as it is for her game, because Derek F is with the guys more than he's with her, she wasn't going to do that because that's her final 2. That is the person she made the final two deal with. So Hannah was always going on the block. She needed to win veto or she needed to win HOH. She didn't. She's gone. And it's funny to me because the whole season Azah's been getting this shit and I've been talking about it. So I just love everybody acting like they wouldn't have, like they haven't been doing this all season to Azah. So this doesn't matter. Just because Azah didn't do the thing that they wanted Azah to do this time, they're acting like it's okay now that they've been talking all this shit about Ozzy all season while also talking about misogyny in the game. What a fucking hypocritical fan base, you know, always crying about misogyny, and there is plenty of that in these games, but yet the fan base also just goes along with the misogyny themselves, constantly talking the most shit about other women in these games. So you could sit up there in your little high horse Twitter accounts, but you are no better than the misogynists that you are, you know, trying to talk shit about, because you're the same. But yeah, Xavier in the driver's seat, 100% on his way to win this game. Nobody would take him out at this point unless somebody gets that bright idea at Final Three. But I think at this point, Ozza might be the only one to do that. Maybe Derek F. I don't know. Kylan clearly wants to go to the end with Xavier, even though he's going to get obliterated in jury votes. Kylan has played this game where he does a lot and he wins competitions, but his ego gets in the way and he wants to go to the end with Xavier, and he's not going to get the votes to beat Xavier. He's just not. The more we see the jury talk, the more they love Xavier's game and hate Kylan's game. So bitter jury will kill Kylan in that end vote against Xavier for sure. Now Xavier wins Final Four HOH just to complete his little dominance he has on this game now. If Ozzy doesn't win veto, she's going. So she'll be the next one to go most likely, and then she pulls out a veto win, and then Ozzy gets to decide who goes between Kylan and Derek F. Derek F. stupidly be telling Ozzy about all his final deals now, so he's worried that Ozzy would cut him over Kylan. And maybe she would. I don't know. At this point, who knows? She really shouldn't, though, because then at least Derek F is in the final with her. Maybe she can win a final against Derek F and Xavier, although I think Xavier would probably win the final three against any of these people. Maybe Kylan wins the final three, but Kylan wants to take Xavier to the end. And that is why, if you paid attention to this channel, we've given you the best fucking reason. Week 3, we had Xavier ranked #1. Before, this was back when the other show I talk about, Rap, was putting Sarah Beth above Xavier in the rankings. A joke. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It does get old that guys' alliances always work out and women can never get on the same page. And this was never all Oz's fault. Ozza was at fault with her relationship with Hannah, like I've been saying. But if you watch my video from yesterday about all the point of views, you understand everybody's point of view. But Ozza always wanted to work with Tiffany, and Tiffany didn't want to work with Ozza. So all 3 girls in the cookout are responsible for them never getting on the same page. Maybe Hannah the least, but Hannah bought into a lot of Tiffany's mumbo jumbo about fucking Ozza at times, so that didn't help Ozza and Hannah's relationship anyway. So the women go down. But yeah, the fact that there's only been 4 women winners in the last 21 seasons combined between Big Brother and Survivor is definitely a problem. This was not always the case on these shows. So I don't know what it is about the last fucking, like, I think 10 years on Big Brother and the last 5 or 6 years on Survivor where, like, the game seems to favor men. Don't know why that is. I mean, I can understand on Big Brother because in these big alliances, every season that we see, every fucking season on Big Brother US, big alliances, it's always a man at top of that alliance. And they're usually the one that's going to win the game if they're on the top of that alliance. And that is why in week 3, some of us on the rankings saw Xavier starting to position himself the best spot in the house. And that is why he's well on his way to a fucking win. I mean, other than that, there's not a whole lot to recap. It's going to be some slow days now as the game winds down. We'll see how often I do updates because I just don't see a lot changing. Xavier's been in control of this game since week 3, honestly. He has. Not in like control of everything, but just like he had the best spot in the house since week 3. Since he won that HOH, he positioned himself the best. in this game, and it's been a foregone conclusion for a while now that if nobody's going to take a shot at Xavier, he's going to win this game. So that's really all there is to it. Unless somebody finally gets the idea to win Final 3 and cut Xavier, Xavier's winning this game by a mile.